Hi everyone, my name is Maor and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to teach you 3 different methods of how to use more than 10% of your brain. Now, a lot of people think that when we're talking about using more of our potential or using more than the average 10% of our brain, they think that they're going to get much smarter, which is true in some way. But don't think that the 90% is about enlarging our memory or about the capacity of thinking much faster. It is way beyond that. You see, the first method is understanding that the brain is like a cloud. Sometimes when you look up in the sky, you see some clouds are white, some clouds are thick, some clouds are very heavy. After all, clouds are just condensed water. So your brain works exactly in the same ways. Think about the 3D map of your brain. Now, different connections in the brain happen all the time. The question is, how many new connections are you creating? Can you really understand that the more connections you create, the more new connections you create, the faster your brain will work? For example, if there is a map with point A, B, C, and D right here, and right now your brain has a connection between A and B, and A and C, and A and D. If right now you will have a new connection between B and D as well, you will create a different set of directions from A to D. Meaning you will create and enforce one of the connections. In other words, the more you practice on the things that you are not aware of, the more things that you learn that are new, the thicker the cloud of the connections in your brain will be. And this can be anything simple. For example, if you try to brush your hand with your left hand if you're a righty, and with your right hand if you're a lefty, you will create a new connection. If you practice that for about a month, even though in the beginning it will be very weird, that connection will establish and be very strong. If you get into the habit of doing all these things, all these new things, then all of the connections in your mind will start moving much faster. This is not just like playing video games, this is not just like solving riddles, which also help develop your mind. You can also do different things, different exercises. If you're used to doing your exercise in a particular way, if you just change the way you do your exercise, you will create again another connection. And think about your mind just like the white clouds that are very light, and it will slowly become more and more heavy, even become a rain cloud. With all these new connections, you will see that the brain starts working much faster and create even faster connections. The second method I want to discuss is how to add automatic programming to your mind. Now, what happens, for example, when we learn how to drive? In the beginning, we have to learn how to move the shift. We have to learn what is a clutch, what is the gas, where are the brakes. And with time and practice, it becomes an automatic. Meaning, when we go out to drive, we don't really think about it. Actually, most of us even slightly meditate while we're driving, or just listening to music and enjoying everything. But 90% of what it took us, the energy it took us to learn how to drive, is now completely automatic. And we only have to do about 10% of what we used to do. Same thing happens with our brains, same thing happens with awareness. Meaning, the more we practice being aware of our thoughts, of our emotions, being aware of the words that come out of our mouth. Now, to learn this or to study this, we have to become a little bit more aware in the beginning and put some consciousness and intention and will to understand what we are saying, what we are thinking. But with time, it becomes automatic. For example, if I would like to change the way I talk, if I don't want to be a negative person, I don't want to say no. So every time I'm going to say no, I'm going to be aware of it and try to see if I can find another combination of words to avoid saying that. Or if I don't like the word hate, because hate is it's a very negative word. Think about saying I hate mosquitoes or I dislike getting bitten from a mosquito. Those are like two different vibrations, two different energies. So I do want to shift from this to that. To do that, I need to become aware. Every time I say the word hate, I will immediately think how I can say it differently and then fix myself. Even say it out loud, so my ego will be involved in the process as well. So every time I want to change something, it can be my awareness with others, it can be how much I smile during the day, it can be my breathing, because a lot of us need to breathe much more full breaths, much more pranic breaths, meaning allow the energy to flow from the universe into our belly and fill all the rest of our body. These are also called meditational breaths. So all these things that I want to change, in the beginning, I will have to intend to will, but over time, they will become an automatic programming, allowing my brain to automatically do them without needing me. Exactly like my heart keeps on going, exactly like my breath keeps on going, it's all automatic. But in the beginning, the body needs to learn. So the same thing with the mind and the consciousness. And in this way, when we are adding different things and we are making them completely automatic, it means that our brain is using more of its potential. It means that there's things that are happening, but we have moved them from the conscious level, which is the 10%, to the unconscious level. It's sort of like having the CPU of a computer keep on working with the applications running in the background. They're still running, there's still things that are going on, and we're using more of our true potential. And the last thing I can really recommend about how to raise your ability to use more of your brain is to use more your intuition. But what does that mean? You know already that the brain is much more sophisticated than what we believe. Actually, the body is amazing. The body is so smart, and the brain is a part of it, and the brain monitors the body itself. Now, what happens when we try to solve a riddle? What happens when we try to solve any problem that we have in our life? We tend to go in circles. We tend to think about the same solution over and over, and then we get stuck because we're trying to figure it out. And then, when we really let go of wanting to solve the problem, we go to sleep, we have a break, we take our dog for a walk, suddenly a solution presents itself. Why did it present itself? Because the mind stopped being harassed by the problem itself. He let it go. The problem went down to the subconscious level, or the superconsciousness level, as other people like to call it. There's much more, that's the 90% that we're not using most of the time, because the 10% is more of the conscious level, the thinking mind, the ego, the mind that thinks he knows everything. And then we can use more of our potential from the 90% that is missing, using our intuition, using our subconscious power, and letting go of wanting to understand something in order to receive that answer. The more we learn and we train ourselves to let go, and that means we let go of trying to solve the problem, understanding the solution will come in a better way than we can ever imagine using our conscious mind. And when we practice this enough, it becomes a daily ritual to use our intuition much more. Meaning that our intuition is the additional 90% that most people don't use. Our intuition is actually the combination of the brain and the heart, because the heart is just the second brain. It is the brain of the emotions. And the emotions are very, very clever, very smart, sometimes so sophisticated they are actually connected with the universal emotions, with the universal consciousness of everybody else. In other words, in order to extend your brain's capacity, you need to reduce your thinking. This sounds like a paradox, but actually most of the thinking we're doing is about the future and the past, and most of it is very repetitive. We are usually worried about things that haven't happened. We are usually analyzing things that have happened. The more you stay in the moment and the more you listen to your intuition, which is only in the moment, you will see that you're actually extending your brain's capacity much beyond. And this, of course, requires some practice. The first practice, or the first practical method I can really recommend, is listening to your intuition in that moment and trying to see if your intuition is saying something different than your head. And try to see what happens if you continuously follow your intuition with people, with business decisions, with daily decisions. Just like they say, with time, some people develop intuition, like a cop's intuition. When you spend enough time in any position or any job, you will immediately develop the intuition. But you are already spending enough time in your own life. So you already have the intuition with your wife, your husband, your children, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your job. Listen to your intuition much more, and you will see that you're actually extending your brain's capacity, because what is going to happen, you're going to use a lot more of your subconscious mind, and your subconscious is amazing. He remembers the most amazing things from all of your past lives, all these little bits and pieces of information. You yourself know that sometimes you just remember something from your childhood and you say, wow, where did that memory come from? It came from your amazing mind. Thank you very much for watching me. My name is Maor. You can watch more of my stuff at raymaor.com. If you like this video, share it or simply like it.